Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Friends Podcast, man. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
sir.
joining us. If it's your first time, thank you for coming through. My name is Matt. I'm here with my two co-hosts.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Jay.
It's Rod, and this is the Friends Podcast. Make sure you check us out. We're streaming everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our socials at the Friends Pod, TikTok, YouTube, and check out the merch, TFP Shop.
Most definitely check all that stuff out. But let's start off how we usually do, man. So what's been going on with everybody the last week?
I'm still trying to get over the fact that it's August.
Damn,
Like this year has really rolled by. I don't know where the past 4 months have gone. So I'm really trying to be better at my time. I've been waking up at 5 in the morning every day this week. So I am sleepy. I'm out of it. Can't wait to sleep tomorrow. Sleep in. Things are good. I hit up a jazz festival last night in my area, which was dope. They had a really dope DJ set. I wish I got the name of the DJ. She was super dope. But yeah, gonna go back to that again tonight. What about y'all?
Okay, super dope, super dope. Yeah, what's going on with you, Rod, this past week, man?
Work as usual. One of my homies from out of town came in. We hung out, went to a few different places, showed him Houston. Yeah, just had a good time. What about you?
Nothing too crazy, man. Just been working, doing editing, stuff like that, man. Just been getting some good sleep though. Like I think that's really important, just to get good sleep, like that real 8 hours, where it's like you wake up and it's like ready to start the day, like type shit. So like that's been this week, for sure. Like I said, nothing too crazy, but other than that, we can go ahead and get into this first topic though. So let's get into it.
So this is something I've been thinking about a lot post the Montgomery Ball situation, which at this point everybody has heard of, everybody's seen the video. And I think one of the cool things that came out of that conversation is people have been like, damn, look at how we stood together. Look at how Black people came together in that moment. And it made me think about like the importance of community. Like when you watch that video, if you haven't seen it, the first Black man in that video who gets jumped worked on the riverboat that they were trying to dock. And then when you look at the later video where there are, a mixture of people who are jumping on each other, all the folks in the blue, the Black people in the blue, actually worked on that boat. And so when you kind of look at that piece in context, you realize a lot of the people who stood up for that man, they know him personally. They work with him. They see him every day. And so it just made me think more about community and how important is community to us? Like, how do we actually foster it? I got to say personally, I realized this week, I don't even know the names of my neighbors. Yeah. I'm like, damn, doesn't community start there? I don't know, but what are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think it starts there. I think it starts at home. I think it starts at work. The places you go to, the grocery stores, the bars and stuff like that. And I think community is important. Now, in terms of meeting my neighbors, I don't really like to know my neighbors like that, to be honest. Like maybe like a hi and bye, but I don't know.
But why is that? When did that start? I feel like you used to see in TV shows that people bring muffins to the new neighbors and you go and you ask your neighbor for a cup of sugar. The only person I know who's ever done that in real life is my grandma. Outside of that, I don't know people who really know their neighbors like that. And I'm like, when did we become so isolated?
I don't know. That's real interesting because growing up as a kid, like some of the the kids that I would play with in the neighborhood, it was my neighbors, not literally next door, but the people in my neighborhood and stuff like that. But and then of course moving to college is okay, dorms, you're gonna be in a room with somebody else, that's and then your dorm mates or whatever, suite mates. So that's community. But I think as adults, we just get into these relationships and we get working 40 hours a week, and it's damn, I'm spending time with my family and my kids and my dog, you know what I'm saying, and working and stuff like that. So I'm feeling that's where it kind of diminishes the community. And I'm sure some
You
people
don't think it's
do.
generational?
You think so?
I feel like my parents, they definitely know their neighbors. I feel like most people in our generation, we don't care to know them.
Why?
I just got a note on my car. He's like, stop parking shitty. he didn't He didn't write his name or
Yeah.
anything else. I literally got out the car and I was like, "Am my perk shitty?" I'm like, I'm still in the lines. I was
The fact that
like,
he
this
said
nigga just upset.
he wrote it like that you do it all the time. That's what it made it sound like. Damn.
Right.
Like I
see you
always
every-
I
park
was like, I
shitty.
don't though. I park pretty fine. I'm always in the line, so
Yeah.
it just seemed like a random act of aggression. And I'm just like, who the hell wrote this?
Damn.
Yeah, like at least put your name down and your address so I can come knock on your door. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to figure it out. I'm like, do I park shitty? Like help me out.
I had this neighbor like when I was I lived in Royal Oak, and I had this neighbor. It was an older white lady. I'm not gonna say her name, but it was just weird. Like I would just always catch her watching me. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was coming in, like you'll see her. Like who is that? Like looking out the window, and like I don't know, just like I could tell like she would be looking through her peephole and stuff like that when I would come in the building. But like like.
And did she ever like introduce herself or say anything to you?
Yeah, I met her, but it's just like I can't like. What are we gonna talk about? Like all she do is like plant flowers and like which is cool. Like I like that, but like
what question did she ask you though? She asked you like, where are you from?
yeah, I'm pretty sure
Or
we
like
talked
your
about where
name?
we
Okay.
yeah name, where I was from, why am I here
Good
basically.
things
like,
to tell the cops.
Good thing, yeah. It's a black man. He's
his name is blah blah blah. He's from
exactly.
he lives
Exactly.
blah there. Like perfect.
And the thing is, I think that's fair because she lives there. Like she's allowed to see who the fuck is her neighbor. Like you know what I mean. I feel like it just kind of turned me off of like just the nosiness. Like I don't even know you like that, type shit. But in terms of like it being
Maybe she was trying to build
generational,
community with you.
I don't want to be.
That's the way that she did it back in her day. Like,
and that's where I think the disconnect is. Like, Rod, when you were saying about it being generational, I feel like that's the disconnect. Is like our generation sees stuff as nosy, and then like other generations, like that's just how you get to know people. Because I also would be like nosy ass bitch, but I get like, shit. Well, they should probably know my name. Like, I think that's a normal question, but I do feel like our generation is just like really, really private.
And like, yeah, of course, especially like if something happened, like she could be like, "Oh, something is happening in Matt's apartment," blah blah, and she knows my information, or she can call me if she see a fire or something. Like that's important stuff that happens sometimes,
I've been in apartments where I've heard people yelling, saying, "Help, help!"
Yeah.
And I didn't help. Like I just was like, my ear was just to it, just like, damn, like what? Is someone gonna help her? Like,
not me. But I can't lie, I've also had that happen before. I lived in this one building, and there was like a bunch of screaming in the middle of the night in the apartment under me.
Oh no!
And I definitely was like, well,
I even heard like gunshot before one time. Yeah, like I just got down low.
Well, I mean, like that's kind of different though. Like you can't be expected to help with gunshots.
I can't lie. Maybe this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. My neighbors across the street. No, mind you, I lived in my house for 5 years. Like I sometimes wave at them, but I don't really know them. I was outside at like maybe like 11:30 at night, and I heard the man across the street screaming like "fuck you!" Like he was going off. Like they were getting in a big ass fight, and I did think, I'm like, should I call the cops? Like I haven't seen the wife in there in a couple days since then. I'm like, I don't really know what happened, but it is this weird mix. Like
sunglasses.
I have not seen the wife since that was like 2 weeks ago. This nigga was going off, okay? So it's stuff like that where I'm like, maybe if I knew them, it would be different. I could at least send her a text like, hey, is everything cool? Like, y'all okay? But
yeah, he won't like that.
Nah.
He knows where I live.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's like, when you don't have any sense of community, when you don't even know these people's names, it's like, well, I'm not really gonna step in when I don't even know you. I hate to say it, but
like, do you know your neighbors like that, Jermayne? Like at all?
Nope. There's like an older couple that lives on one side of me, and we like wave at each other, but like I couldn't tell you their names or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, I've been in my house for 5 years, so I've been around these same people for a long time. And I realized how bad I didn't know my neighbors a couple days ago because a package of mine got taken to my other neighbor's house. And I saw that it got delivered to her house. And I'm like, fuck. Like, she has a Ring camera. I don't want to look like I'm stealing her package. So I hit the camera and I was like, hey. And I could tell she didn't know who the fuck I was. She was like, hello. And I was like, hey, I live next door. My package got delivered here. I just want to give you a heads up before I take the package. And it's like, Dan, we've both been in our homes for 5 years. We moved in at the same time. Like, we should have a relationship where I could be like, hey, girl, package is over here. I'm going to go come pick it up. Like, let me know if you need some eggs. I got some eggs at the grocery store yesterday. Like, we should have that relationship. And it made me feel like, damn, am I the problem? Why don't I know these people?
You said she didn't respond too kindly to you at her door. So
she did not.
It don't seem like she want a relationship. Like, she don't want you at her door.
She has let me know well before that. Like, some other people at least wave in the neighborhood. If I see her outside, that lady does not even want to make eye contact.
That's weird. So is she older? Is she older?
She's maybe like 40.
Okay, because we was talking about the generational thing. I was gonna say, like, if she was 60 years old, it's like maybe it's not generational, but maybe it is. I don't know. But what you said, Rod? You asked.
No, I'm just saying that is it weird that she didn't want to show eye contact and just mind her business? Like, I don't mind those people either. I mean, now that we're having the discussion, do I want to build community with my neighbors? No. Do I want them to start talking to me? No. So I don't know. I'm the same way. I keep it moving for the most part.
And I feel you. I'm for the most part the same way. And that's the part that I'm trying to figure out is like, we always talk about like the ills of the community and like, how do we make things better? How do we come together as a people? It's like, well, technically, doesn't it start like close to home? Like, with the people that you live around or people that you see at the grocery store, like speaking to them. But I can admit, like, I don't always do that. Shoot, even at my job, like I didn't necessarily go out of my way to like speak to people at work, like people that I didn't know that weren't like on my team. And I look back now and I'm like, man, I wish I had been like the person who said hi to all the Black people in the building or like who went up to new people and was like, hi, I want to introduce myself. But part of me is like, listen, I'm here for a fucking paycheck and to get out of here.
Yeah, I think that certain people are just like, they like to do that. Like, they like to be like they like to go meeting new people and go to like do all those types of things and stuff like that. And I agree with y'all. Like, I don't really want to know my neighbors like that either, but why though? Like, why is that? Like, because I feel like there is a situation where they could be cool. Like, we could be cool. Like, we could barbecue together. We go take walks around the neighborhood, whatever. Like, whatever neighbors do. Like, we could do that. But why don't we want to do that? Like, that's
the real question.
Is it because like is it hard to find a community that that you want to be in and fit in with? Maybe is that what it is? Because it's like I feel like diversity. I love diversity, but sometimes we just don't be living around people that like have our same interests or are like minded. You know what I mean? Like we all not living in our hometowns anymore. You know what I mean?
That's actually a great point.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because I only had one apartment that I was in where I knew the leasing agents and they always say hello, but they would throw events for like the residents. So that's how I met some of my neighbors. And it was cool. Like, used to go out and do things like that. But yeah, that was probably the only apartment that had like events and functions where I got to actually know people. So
a friend of mine, she lives in an apartment complex that she's maybe been in for like a year, and she knows a lot of the people there. And it's really dope to see because like she has friends in her complex. So, people who will like bring over food, people who, hey, you want to go to the movies? Yeah, let's go to the movies together. I went to go and see her and I needed a key for her place and she wasn't there. And one of her neighbors brought me the key. And it's like, damn, like it would be dope to live in a situation where like there are multiple people in your proximity who you have like real relationships with, who you can lean on when you need, who like practical things you can get from them. But I think you made a good point, Matt, because like when I think about her building, like it's a lot of young professionals who have like similar interests.
Mhm.
I definitely don't live in a situation like that. Like they're not a bunch of people close to me where I'm like, oh yeah, like I can tell we have the same interests.
Or like, oh, I see my neighbor here. Like, oh, I recognize you. Like, let me talk to you because I know that you're where I would be. Kind of shit. Like,
Mhm.
you don't really have a lot of opportunities because I barely see. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll be walking in from the building and I might like say hello to them, but like, so I don't know anything about them. Like, that's another interesting thing is like we don't really know anything about our neighbors. Like, the only way we'll know if we'll like them and like if we can build community with them is to like try to try to talk to them. So it's like
Yeah.
maybe people should just make an effort to do that and then we can get somewhere. But
This might be a morbid ass example, but even just you saying that made me think about like the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
yeah,
Like, even if you've had enough conversation with your neighbors to know like, yo, this person is a little bit weird, or there's like something funky going on, and I can potentially like save other people's lives, or like just keep an eye on this person, or in Jeffrey Dahmer's case, like call the police on this person. Like that stuff makes a difference. My next door neighbor could be a whole ass serial killer. I would never know.
right. And then if we speaking specifically about the the Dahmer story, it wasn't the people were screaming, right?
Yeah.
And then like she just didn't call the cops, so it's like, why didn't she do that? Like what? And that's kind of why I was asking y'all, like, why didn't
Nah,
you?
we can't say that though. Like during the story, it did say the neighbor was calling and trying
Oh,
to
for real?
figure out the smell and
Okay,
saying there's
okay,
weird stuff going on.
okay. So I'll take that
Like
back
she did,
then.
yeah, she did say that she was calling and they just never came. The police never showed up because he's a white man and he just was like, yeah, everything's good.
Okay, well, I'll take that back then. Well, I think all in all, community. Because the question is it important to like build it? I mean, I think it is, especially like socially too. Though, like you just need people just to bounce off of, just to have do things with, go to the bar with, golf with, whatever you do. You know what I mean? Like you just need that in life because you never know
Yeah.
when you need a helping hand.
That gets me thinking about like our next topic here. What flaw are like you currently working on?
That's a crazy question. What flaw are you working on? I don't know. Who want to go first?
I could
You.
go.
I mean, I got to think about which one I should be working on. But go ahead.
I guess I kind of touched on this earlier in the pod about like getting up at 5 in the morning. One thing that I've tried to be working on lately is discipline. Like I'm usually a very like do what feels right to you type of person, and it'll all figure itself out. And I've realized lately, like some stuff, it's not about doing it because it feels right. Like you just have to do it. And so I've been working on being more disciplined with myself. So for example, like I said, getting up every morning at 5, being like, no, this doesn't feel good. And like, yes, these mornings I'm really tired, but like I have to get in the habit of like, I just do this every day, regardless of how I feel about it. And what's been really interesting is even just doing it a little bit, doing it for a week now, I'm like, oh shit, like I see the difference of like how much time I'm able to have in my day and what I'm able to get done because I'm doing stuff not because like, ooh, this feels good, but because it's like, no, bitch, like you gotta get it together.
You gotta put in work to do things, I guess. And it's like, I feel like struggling with discipline is like one of the hardest things to do because, I mean, I always take it extreme, but I'm gonna take it extreme. Like, think of like drug addicts. Like, in order to quit and get off of a drug, like you really have to focus and like really be disciplined because it's something that you like to do. Like
Yeah,
we like to sit and chill. We like to just sit and do whatever. But like to get out of that is you have to be very mentally strong. Like it's mental exercise for real.
literally.
Like you getting up at 5 a.m. and like doing that, like it's really interesting. I would say for me, I don't know. I feel like I don't really work on my flaws like that. That might be a
That
like
might
I
be a flaw.
try. That might be a flaw. I mean, I feel like I try. Like sometimes I might try to like do what you're saying, like be disciplined or like try to like good diet or like try not to spend so much money. Like it's a lot of things that I should try to do, but like I just don't. You know. But yeah, I don't know if I have any like crazy examples, but that might be my flaw.
Is there a flaw that you like maybe haven't worked on, but you're really aware of?
I don't think I can think of anything. I mean, probably you know what it would be though. Now that I'm thinking about it, it would probably be like getting out of my shell more. Like we were just talking about the community and all that stuff, and like getting out of your shell and like, oh, let me go talk to my neighbor. I think that's something like being more socially aware is not the word, but like more.
Open.
I won't even say open. I'm not trying to be all the way open, but like like socially. Yeah, I can't really think of the word, but like, yeah, better in that way, I would say. But Rod, what you say? Is there any flaws that you're working on right now?
Actually, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Just professional development. I think I'm gonna try to like take some courses or try to get some type of certification, things of that nature to add on.
That's a big one.
But yeah, but it does take discipline, like what you guys were saying, and like getting out of my routine of what I normally do after work and like actually sitting down and studying or going to a live online course or something like that and hearing a lecture and trying to remember past things. And it's a daunting thing to be like, oh, I got to do that again.
I
But
know.
it's also like, yeah, to better yourself, you got to go ahead and go through it.
I feel like people don't talk enough about like how hard it is to learn as an adult. Like when you're in college, high school, college, and you're just in the mindset of like, I go to class these days, I got to spend this many hours doing homework. Like everybody around me is also doing homework. And then you go to the regular world and you're working 40 hours a week to try to pick up a new skill is really, really hard.
Not only that, I think like the capacity to learn and like pick up new things as you get older like deteriorates, if I'm not mistaken. So like even as you get older, it's like damn, like yeah, I want to go back, but like can I even do the same things I was doing back then? Like the same, like mentally, you know what I mean?
And even if you
Yeah.
can, like, it's just might be harder.
Right, because like you saying, like working, like you got families, you got all these types of things, but so
And you
like
learn a bunch of different things like about a specific industry that you've been working at usually. So you're not thinking about like all the things that you had to do. Like for me particularly, it's going to be all the math and the circuits and trying to figure out equations and things like that. Like I haven't looked at none of that shit in years.
right.
It has nothing to do about my day-to-day job, and it's
Yeah.
just like I got to go back and do that. Like
Mhm.
I'm not looking forward to that shit.
I have that dream all the time where I like wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, I actually didn't graduate from college because I didn't like take this math class and I gotta go back to school to like take this math class. And next thing I know, I'm like back on campus in a backpack as like a 30-year-old woman trying to take these like random ass calculus classes.
Wait, you said this is a dream?
Yes, and I have this dream like fairly often.
Wow.
Maybe once a year. And it feels so vivid. And I'm like, I had a couple months ago and I'm like in the dorms and I was like, I can't believe I fucking am back in college.
That's kind of scary. I mean, it's scary to have that dream. Like that might be a nightmare, but also I feel like I would like that though. Like I would like to go back and like kind of learn something new. Like maybe to like Ryder saying, like to expand my, like my profession and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
think I would enjoy that. Getting back into the math and like I understand what you're saying, Rod. Like I ain't looked at, and you looked at more than me, like in terms of like equations. I only did like calc 2, but like I kind of want to get my brain going in that way again because I think when you're learning, like when you exercising that muscles, like you could like learn more things. You know what I mean? So I want to get that started again. I think that would be dope.
I don't know. I just want to get paid more.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason you're doing it.
That's really it.
Damn.
And I gotta go through that pain for maybe like a
Profit.
year, just to so I can go back to do what I'm doing now.
Mm.
Just going to work day to day, and just getting paid to do it. It'd be that bullshit.
I feel that. I mean, I guess if it's nothing you're passionate about, I guess I understand where you're coming from on that.
So I was having this discussion with my older brother about my younger brother, and my little brother, he was telling me, "Hey, I'm gonna be joining the basketball team and stuff like that." And me personally, I was like, kind of just like, why? Like, our mom is like 5'4", your dad's like about 5'10", and you're going to your sophomore year of high school. Why are you just now trying to pick up a basketball? Like, like, and but he was just like, yeah, I just wanna do it. I was just like, okay, like, but remember, like, school is important, and there's other different kind of clubs you can do, whatever. But I was talking to my brother, and he was just like, he wasn't understanding my point that I was trying to tell him. He was like, no, he could do anything. He could do anything. Like, don't tell him that. Like, encourage him. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, why would I waste time saying he can do anything he wants when it's not productive to like his future? Like, it's just not gonna happen for him.
Right.
But I'm gonna go ahead and base the question off like this: like, is it productive to tell your kids they can do anything?
I think
Well,
anything is a strong word.
true. It is a strong word. Now in terms of that, like I have I look at it two ways. Like, so he can, like, why couldn't he just play basketball? Like, I feel like maybe it was for fun. You know what I mean? Maybe it was just like, oh, let me just do some shit. Like, or did he
Yeah,
sound serious about it?
I was like, it showed discipline, I guess, doing a sport. Like, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just I don't know. I feel like kids, you got to steer them in a certain direction. Like, they'll tell you they want to do this, they want to do that, but for me, like, particularly when I think about things, like when it comes to sports, it's either your kid is like adept to like hand-eye coordination and like that kind of kid. Like, you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
tell like when they're young, like if they can excel in sports or things like that. There's nothing wrong with telling your kid, hey, I think you would sell more in books and doing debate or club or trying to like get skills elsewhere and stuff like. And me being a black dude in a black family and stuff like that, I kind of hate hearing, oh, gotta go play some basketball, or like I'm going to play football. Like, it's always the
Mm-hmm.
typical things. It's never, nah, go join a science club, go join a drawing class, go, like, it's always
That's real.
basketball. You think that's the way you're gonna get up and get out, and like that's just what all
Mm-hmm.
these black kids want to do, and it makes no sense to me. It's like, no,
I
y'all
mean,
not. Like, majority, it's not
basketball.
gonna happen for you.
You're right, but like basketball is just a fun thing that people do love to do. So I can see how people go down that route. But I do agree with you. Like, yeah, like, because but you know what I think is dope now is like they have those like coding camps for kids and stuff like that. So it could steer them in that direction. You know what I mean? I think that type of stuff is dope. But should you tell your kids what to do? I don't know. I kind of feel like I would have my kids just kind of go whichever way. Like, I'll steer them in whatever direction like they want to go in. I'm not gonna tell them which way.
Yeah, but I hear you, but I see what Rod's saying. Like, it's about what's most productive to be doing. So, for example, if you want to play basketball because it is fun to do, that's cool. But if you are clearly talented in something else, like, wow, you're really good at math, then like, yo, let's steer you towards some STEM stuff. Let's get you in, like you said, a coding camp,
Mhm.
or, you know, join the math team at school, join a math club, like really lock in on that. Um, I feel like personally, like I had some like skills or talents as a kid that like I didn't get to fully develop because nobody really pushed me into it. It was like, well, there's kind of some raw talent here, but if nobody's going to nurture it, then it just dies. And I feel like for Black people, like we're so quick to focus attention on sports talents. Like if a kid seems to be good at a sport, we put a lot of focus on that. But outside of that, like a lot of talents get slept on. Like, yo, you're a great singer. You're good at music. Like, sure, let's get you in a music camp. Let's make sure that you have a scholarship to, go to a school that is focused on music and performing arts and get you vocal lessons or whatever. But a lot of times we're like, I've just noticed that we don't seem to put that same focus on other talents that aren't sports. I actually heard this guy was interviewing Dr. Umar, and he was saying how he feels like sports are the worst thing that happened to the Black community.
Oh yeah.
He was saying how like you have, dudes who in high school won't focus on school because they're like, yo, I know I'm going to make it to the league. Or you'll have like 25-year-olds who are like, oh, I'm about to make it to the league. I'm working out to make it to the league. It's like, you're 25. That's never happening. That shit
taking it serious too. Like even my older brother, like he was about 23, 24, like practicing with this Black guy, like at his apartment, like in the gym. I'm like, he's shorter than me. Like he's got to be like 5'9", 5'10". Like, and he's giving him money and things, and like I'm like, why are you giving him your money? Like you can't afford that. Like you're not going. Like he was telling him like maybe you can play overseas, and like he was practicing hard. Like
I was about to say, there's other leagues. Like you can go to.
It's disappointment. Like stop wasting your time. Like stop giving him your shit. But like you can't. I don't know. Some people you just can't tell them they can't excel in something. I don't get that.
I met dudes who were like 30 playing in rec leagues who still felt like they could make it to the league. It's like, oh man, but I'm telling you, like if I was up against Kyrie, like he couldn't stop me. It's like, did you hear what you just said? And when I asked, like, oh, well, did you play basketball in college? No. So you didn't play basketball in college. You haven't played basketball competitively in more than 10 years, but you think that you're 2 steps away from making it to the league?
No.
And he gonna call out Kyrie out of all people?
Kyrie.
Like you could have called out someone on the bench like before you call out Kyrie. Come on now. Like,
he straight up told me, he was like, I'm better than like half the dudes in the league. I was just like, I think y'all underestimate how hard it is to get into the NBA.
Like he'd be lucky to be a practice dummy.
Hell yeah.
Third squad type shit.
I think where we go wrong is like just looking at things from such a narrow perspective. Like, so my brother played basketball his whole life, loves basketball, always been super passionate about basketball. But, to your point, Rod, at a certain point, it became clear, like, you're not going to be necessarily an NBA player. Like, don't have the height for that, whatever. But my brother's always wanted to be in the NBA in some capacity. And so he focused his attention on getting a job in the NBA. And so now he works for the Pistons, like the Pistons front house. And so like his goal is to be a GM someday. So that is like an attainable goal. Like just because you love sports doesn't mean that you can't do anything associated with it. It just might mean like you might not be LeBron, but you could be Rich Paul.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my brother did make that point as well. He was like, don't tell him he can't do it because he can still work in the facility. He can still be a coach or do something along the lines of the sport and exercise, stuff like that. But I just feel like that was changing the argument. I was like, we were talking about, is he going to make the league and be a basketball player? Like,
that's very different.
We're not talking like you're wasting your time like in the gym every day. Like, learn the game. Like, I don't know.
And truthfully, like, if you want to be a coach, like, is playing basketball going to get you very far in that? Not necessarily. Like, yo, hey, I want to be the assistant coach of the high school basketball team. Like, I just want to follow the coach around and manage the team and learn about, the inner workings of like developing plays and developing strategies and putting together a roster. Like you could start that young versus, waiting until you've realized like, fuck, I'm not going anywhere with basketball to then pick that up.
Mm-hmm. No, that is very true. But I mean, I think what I wanted to ask you to Rod is like, what if? So, like, say you're pushing your child or like nudging them towards doing something specific, and like, what would you do if they didn't have a propensity, propensity to like be good at that? You know what I mean, or the ability. You know what I mean? Like, would
Yeah,
you
just what
continue
would
to
you
push
do
them?
to? I would steer them in a different direction. It's really my point. Just like that, things that I feel like they're strong in, or really, I'll just push them a bunch of different organizations. Like I had a girlfriend or whatever. She told me her mom put her at a bunch of different things, and just to see what kind of sticks. And for a kid, you just got to put in a bunch of different stuff and see what they excel in.
True.
I'll probably do that, like just start putting on a bunch of different stuff, and seeing what they kind of love. Because it's just like, yeah, we can still go play basketball. Like I could take you to the gym, play with the kids, whatever, like that. Still join the team, like, but it's just like I'd rather to start building up on like different skills and seeing other things that they might be really good at. Because I feel like it's better that a kid learn to be the best at something rather than just like one of the players on the bench. Like,
hell yeah,
I'm not trying to even go to a fucking game to watch my kid be on the bench. Like that's like what I'm like, and he'll be like, oh, you didn't come to the game. Like, you're not playing. like
That's when you got to start arguing with the coach. Like, hey, coach, why my son ain't in?
I'm here watching the other kids. Like you're in the fucking game like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Damn, man. Damn.
Like, I'm trying to be at the crib. I just got from work. You talking about like you gonna be there? Like hell no. Like
damn, man. Shit.
I don't know. I don't know. There's two sides.
I do think you said something major about like just being great at something. Like just be great at one thing. Honestly, if you're great at one thing, you can live such an amazing life. If you look at any of the people that are successful, very few of them are great at multiple things. Very, very few. Like that's what makes you like genius levels to be great at multiple things. But like most people like are just really good at one fucking thing, and they make a lot of money doing that.
And I think that people are. I mean, it gets into the nature nurture, conversation, but it's like I feel like people are born with the certain abilities to be good at one thing, like certain things. So like for parents to not cultivate that in their kid is like a disservice to them. That's kind of how I feel about it. And so that's my perspective on what I would tell my kids. Like I ain't gonna say you can do everything, but what I see that you're good at, like we're gonna cultivate that.
At what age do you think you should give up certain dreams?
I think it depends on the dream. Like basketball, of course, like probably before 18.
More like before 12, 13.
Damn.
I mean, it's been some players in the league that didn't play till college and like late high school. Like,
I agree. Like, I feel like if you got like tall parents and you got like good genes, like if you got good genes, yeah, you can start like and figure it out. But most people, I'm just talking about the majority. Like, you can't just pick it up. Like something that's already very slim pickings. It's like one in I don't know how many million to get in the league or professional sports in general. But if it's something like, hey, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or things like that, those things are going to take a lot of time and it's going to take a lot of dedication, money. They're going to need a bunch of assistants, like things like that.
But you can still do it though. You can still do things like that. There are some things where it's like you got to quit unless you did it like early. Like can you learn to dance? Yeah, sports stuff like that. I was gonna say like, can you learn to dance real good when you older? I don't know.
See, that's if somebody knows, let me know because I want to learn how to dance, but I feel like that time is past.
I don't know if this be hating. Like, and
Uh-huh.
I know we know the person. Who you may know him. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go ahead. So
Go ahead.
this particular person was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go be a doctor," and like after a while, it's like you're not passing the classes. It's just like you're not getting into the schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at a certain point, you just got to keep trudging along because like some people do like eventually do it. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people fail the bar as well. Like,
true.
should you just give up, or after you did all that work, like when we're talking about those fields, should we give up like on those tests and if we can't pass it, or it's just not like when it comes to education instead of sports? Because I feel like sports is more easier to be like
Mm-hmm.
it's more obvious to say yeah, it's not going to work. But when it comes to other fields and things, like sometimes you do want to just tell them like work harder or get a tutors or things like that.
But
I don't know if we're thinking about the same person, but I know somebody who has been working to become a doctor, and it has taken a very long time, and it's been a very convoluted path. They still have a very, 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 very long way to go.
damn.
I mean, just based on like how long like med school takes,
Yeah.
residency takes, like you got another 10, 12 years maybe ahead of you, especially depending on like if you know, what specialty you want to go into.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
does kind of make me feel like, can you do it, quote unquote? Yes, it's possible. Like, is this a wise move? I don't know.
I don't think it is, to be honest, because I mean, if we're talking about what Rod is talking about, like with people failing classes and like you just can't do it, I think you kind of it's kind of the same with basketball. Like if you know you 5'8", like you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like so maybe like I don't even want to sound bad, but like intellectually, like you just can't get because you know what I'm saying. If we talking about like doctors and stuff like that, this is like a lot of high level information, a lot of intelligence, and I don't even, you know what I mean. That's all I'm saying. But I would say sometimes people don't have that, and if you keep failing classes, like
They
you
don't
kind of
have it.
just you
Like
just
you can't
gotta.
tell people they don't have it. Like you just an asshole if you say it. Like stop, go be a nurse, a CNA. Like just stop what you're doing. Like
Well,
stop
yeah,
wasting your time, your money. Like go get a job. Like
well,
go,
yeah.
go to training. Like take some classes.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's different
career,
routes in the medical field. So
yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to be the doctor. There are plenty of other things you can do that are very
Mm-hmm.
respectable careers in medicine. I think the other thing too is like doctors, lawyers, as an example. Those are careers that take so much accuracy. Like
Mm-hmm.
you need to really know your shit to be good at.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit and be successful. Like there's too much on the line. You got people's lives on the line, people's health on the line, people's, money and freedom on the line if you're a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's going to be hard to become one of those regardless of how smart you are. But if you don't naturally have a certain propensity for it, you might be fucking up somebody else's life on the flip side. Like,
Literally,
I don't know if it's worth it for the person who's like, damn, I got the doctor who like barely got into med school, barely passed. Like, I don't want that doctor. I
nobody
don't
does.
want that person treating me. Don't be my dentist. No, thank
Y-
you.
Yeah. So I think it's just fair. Like at that point, just quit. Like no disrespect to that person. I don't even know who we're talking about. If we're talking about somebody,
we're
let me
just
go ahead and
talking
end
in
this one.
general.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So let's go ahead and get into some highlights for the week, man. I think we exhausted all our topics. So anybody have anything they want to highlight for the people?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. Shout out to hip hop, 50 years. I know that's been going around. 50 years of hip hop, the anniversary, and how far hip hop music has came to being charting on the billboards. We went from Melle Mel, and we went from Big Daddy Kane and Ice Cube, Tupac,
Mm-hmm.
Big M, um, Kendrick. Like hip hop has just done so much, and I want to say shout out to hip hop. And on a side note though, y'all saw the Melle Mel diss to Eminem?
I didn't
Yeah,
see it.
I seen it. I seen it. That was yeah,
Trash. It was old
yeah.
school though. I mean, back in the day, that shit might have went in, but in 2023, like
You
Was he
know,
rapping? Like it was like a actual
he put
real
out
diss?
yeah, he
mhm,
put out a diss track to Eminem.
Wow.
It's like
yeah,
old school
How
rap
old
though, like
is
sounding.
Melle Mel?
62.
And still trying to diss people. Okay.
You
Hmm.
know what's one interesting thing about Melle Mel? I learned the other day he had the seventh hip hop song to ever reach the Billboard Hot 100. So it's like he's been
Shout
around
out.
that long. Yeah. So shout out to Melle Mel. I ain't got no smoke for him, but that shit was
I just thought
garbage.
it was interesting. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's a timepiece, just like just how far rappers came. Like I was just like,
True.
damn.
I'm looking at the responses to it right now. It doesn't seem like it was very well received. I definitely got to check it
Mm.
out so we can talk about it on the next pod. But it does not seem like it was well received at all. But also, why does Eminem like? Where is Eminem? Somewhere at home, minding his own business.
It
Like,
happened. It was a whole thing. There was an
uh,
interview. Someone interviewed Melle Mel. He was like his top 5 or whatever. He's pretty much just saying Eminem's overrated, blah blah blah. On the interview, Eminem didn't like it. He kind of mentioned Melle Mel, so Melle Mel came up with this.
but you know what? Here's what I'll give Melle Mel. If you're 62 and you still got a 6-pack and are like diesel like that, I guess you do feel like fuck. I can say whatever I want to whoever I want.
That's
Yeah,
real. That's
Melle
real.
Mel's the truth. Like, shout out to Melle Mel. He's still a legend, like in hip hop, I guess. I don't know any of his music for real, but hey,
Like I said, the number 7 song, like you gotta like he a pioneer. I'll say that. He a pioneer.
right.
Man, let me go ahead and highlight Baby Drill. Baby Drill is an artist under Young Nudy. He got a song called Slight Dub with Young Nudy and 21 Savage. Good song to play in a whip for the summer, so check that joint out. So Jermaine, what you got for us this week?
I got another YouTube channel. It's called I'll Tell You What by Hueido. But it'll also just come up if you search I'll AISLE, tell you what. And it's this really dope woman where she like gives the backstory of different celebrities, but in a really like interesting intellectual way. So what I started watching, for example, was a video that she had about Marvin Gaye. And she read a couple of his biographies. And so she was given like the full details, the full landscape of his life, not just some of those like highlights that you might hear here and there. Um, and yeah, so for example, I didn't know that he got a 16-year-old a 16-year-old pregnant, and that's who he ended up marrying for his second wife. I was like, damn, how'd I miss all of that? And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that Anna Gordy was 17 years older than him. So he liked the old things, the young things. He just
He was just
into it.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more stories about iconic figures like that, she has some other videos about like Gordy, James Brown, Diana Ross. Definitely think it's worth checking her out.
Okay, super dope. So check that joint out. Let us know what y'all thinking. But if you made it this far, we appreciate you for listening. This has been the Friends Podcast, and we
Yes,
out. Peace
sir.
out.